Why are you an interesting man, or why did I find you interesting?
Yeah.
A lot of interesting subjects along the way that I'm very interested in. Had a big background in emergency medicine and seen a lot of things over my time, and wanted to help a lot of people that I thought I actually couldn't. Um,
Uh-huh.
you get very, very, very lost. I think, ADHD and neurodiversity is a very powerful topic, isn't it? With lots
Yeah,
of
emergency medicine tends to attract people with ADHD because the adrenaline rush of emergency provides them focus that they don't get in the rest of the world.
Mm,
So they actually, all the ER staff find clarity in that chaos, and they don't find clarity elsewhere. You will find all the ADHD people are either ER physicians or EM techs, emergency techs, EMTs, or fire firefighters. They are the 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 unpredictability of an emergency allows them to shine at the thing that they are most good at.
yeah. Okay. And that gives them focus.
Yes, but most of them, very few of them actually understand it. As a result, they burn out very quickly. But
Mm.
but if they understand it, they'll actually be excellent and make a amazing career for themselves. But most of them don't understand it.
Okay, so great to meet you. Before we dive in, I'd like to just sort of set the scene about how I would like the call to go. So we'll start with your background and industry trends, then discuss current challenges, where you want to be in the next 6 to 12 months. We all need a goal, and finally wrap up by exploring the next steps, if that makes sense. It'll take about 30 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so I've gone on and had a look at your TED Talks and tried to see how this fits into the bigger picture of your company. Can you share a bit about your role and how it fits into the bigger picture in your company and how you see this? I have looked like extensively into your background, and I don't know when you first started off, and you started off in India, and I don't know whether it's the ADHD side, or it felt to the audience, whether you were consistently coming up and feeling like a failure to the people that were important to you. So you wanted to pursue the meaning of that, maybe?
Um, yeah, that's where it began, but that's not where I ended up
No.
because it began by feeling that you can't measure up to the expectations of the people around you.
Mhm.
But unlike other people, I was gifted with something very, very subtle. I had insight.
Mhm.
So I was able to, from a very young age, I was able to step away and look at myself somewhat apart. I can't be 100% apart from myself, but somewhat apart from myself. And I could see that the rest of the world was getting this narrative wrong about me.
Yeah.
But I could not understand how they were getting it wrong, but I knew that they were getting it wrong. And the beauty of it was that I really did not care whether that they got it wrong. I was more curious as to understanding how I was getting it wrong about me.
Mhm.
So I knew that there was more to me than what I was getting, but I didn't understand how I was getting it wrong. So there are a number of very fortuitous things, right, that I can only ascribe to providence. But a lot of people, when they find themselves in a quandary, they try to go back to the foundation and try to build up from there. And I did something far more radical. I said, I don't care about the foundation. The foundation is messed up. So let me begin with where I am right now. And right now, in this moment, I have the storm that is always around me. But I see that the storm is not who I am. Let me focus deeper into the storm. So rather than trying to run away from the storm, I actually plunged myself into it. And by doing that, I reached the eye. And in the eye, I found clarity. And then I learned how to stand in the eye. And initially, my reaching the eye and standing in the eye was by accident, but then I learned how to create it intentionally. And then I began to be able to enter this flow state at will. And whenever I entered the flow state, I could see the narratives of the world just popping around me with, that I could choose, pick and choose which one I needed to focus on. And suddenly I realized that our lived experience is entirely whatever we pay attention to. It has nothing to do with what actually comes up. See, my lived experience is not the events that happen in my life. Like at any given moment, I may be standing there and there's a butterfly flying, there's a bird calling, and so all those are happening. But they are not part of my lived experience precisely because my lived experience is only that which has my attention. And by doing, once I realized that it is my attention that gives me the quality and content of my life, I knew I had found the secret. And from that point onwards, all I had to do was wield my attention like a searchlight, like a spotlight. And whatever was in the spotlight was the only thing that mattered. Anything that was not in the spotlight, I could ignore. The problem I found that most people have is that they don't control the spotlight. They all have a spotlight, but the spotlight is just spinning around without any control. There is no one manning the spotlight. Every passing breeze spins the spotlight into some other thing, and they're just jumping around like a cat following a laser dot. See, you point a laser dot in front of a cat, and you can drive the cat crazy because it chases the laser dot. And what the cat doesn't know is that the control doesn't come by following the laser dot. It comes from holding the hand, that the control is in the hand that controls the laser. I learned how to control my laser.
Okay. How does this fit into your current role with your business?
So there are two aspects, right?
Yeah.
So the surgeon goes to do the operation. He has a tool, a knife.
Yeah.
But the purpose of him holding the tool is the body of the patient lying in front of him. So for me, my tool was my attention. And the purpose for wielding my attention was this question: how does life work? And how do you make life work when it doesn't? So these two things, the tool with which I would address the question and the question that formed the substance of my life, became the framework for my entire life. So my focus was, I directed my attention, my intelligence, my abilities to answering the question from a biological perspective. How does life work? What makes an animal work? What makes frogs and fishes and birds and human beings and cats and dogs work? And then automatically, once I figured that out through the science of biology and medicine, the automatic question is, okay, now I figured how this works. Now, how do you make it work when it doesn't? And that engrossed me for at least about 15 years or so, because from 1977 all the way till 1993, my entire focus was, how does life work? In fact, not even 1990, from 1977 to 1997, 20 years. Then in 1997, I started practice and I started working in the hospital. And then from there, I began to rise in the hospital and I became the chairman of the hospital. I became a director of a hospice agency. And then the question then became was, how does the hospital work? How does the department work? And how do you make it work when it doesn't? And that pushed me into the area of leadership. And that made me understand how people work. So first I started with how their bodies worked. Then I moved to how their minds worked. And since my mind and my early experience of attention and focus put me in a unique position to understand how people's attention worked. And then I could marry the two. I could bring it all together. And then when I started dealing with dying patients as a hospice director, it was like, how do you enable a person facing the ultimate test of life, which is death itself? How do you enable a patient to face death without fear? How do you help him transcend his identity from a corporeal identity to an identity of consciousness? And I found that I was uniquely able to do that because I had already done that myself. By understanding that who I was and my lived experience was entirely my attention. And by mastering my ability to focus attention, I could teach those skills to the patients who were dying when I could offer them nothing except that. Their bodies had already failed, so it was no longer a question of how do you make their bodies work when it doesn't. So I had to help them transcend their lived experience of a failing body to meet the ultimate dissolution of their own existence without fear. And I became extremely good at that. And and all of this was building up to 2020 when the pandemic hit. So when the pandemic hit, I was uniquely equipped to take my skills to 100,000 patients and help them transcend the overwhelming fear of imminent death from every breath, because that was the fear of the pandemic. The virus was a secondary issue. It was the fear, because what happened during the COVID pandemic was every breath became toxic. Common, simple acts of human connection, sitting 3 feet away, a hug, a kiss, became potentially lethal. And human beings literally die when they are deprived of connection. When people cannot connect, you shrivel. And the entire world got thrust for, somewhere around 8 to 10 months. They were thrust into an isolation chamber. It was as if the whole world went into solitary. So that, and whereas in the clinic, at the Iyer clinic, we were supremely equipped. I taught my method to all my patients and my staff. We trained each other, and then we went out into the community. We kept our doors open when 85% of clinics closed their doors. And we opened our doors not only to the well patients who we welcomed inside our clinic, we opened our parking lots to the sick patients. So my clinic expanded from a 3,000 square foot clinic to a 3,000 square foot office and a 12,000 square foot parking lot. And we pioneered techniques where we treated patients inside their vehicles and made the vehicle into an isolation chamber by hanging a plastic curtain over their windows and just shoving our hands in to take care of the patient so that we were safe outside. We made the patients' cars into a mobile treatment center. And then we took that out. We camping shower tents became our kit for doing COVID house calls. We would go to patients' houses who were too sick to come to the office, but not sick enough to get admitted to the hospital. So we would go and we would erect this camp shower tent on their driveway and change into our gear inside the tent and then walk into their houses, take care of them, come back, spray each other, and then go. We did a lot of stuff like this. And this was all coming out of the direct translation into actual action. That how do you make life work when it doesn't, under all circumstances, not only one's tiny aspect of it, all of it. And my entire life from up to 2020 had been building me up to that. So in the pandemic, when the pandemic was over, during the pandemic, I suddenly realized that my entire life was building me up only for this one purpose, to actually care for people during the pandemic. It was all, I almost felt like it was that there was some higher power pushing me to this point. And when the pandemic was over and I looked around at the total devastation that was left after that, and I said, this need not have happened at all. None of this was necessary. And I said, you know what, the lessons of the pandemic will be lost. People need to hear about it. So I wrote a book, The Reaper's Dance. And then after I wrote the book, I realized that writing the book was the least of it. You had to market it. I never thought about it. I just wrote the book in 60 days. And then I went out and started talking about it in podcasts. And then from the podcast, I said, you know what, it's time for me to go to the TED Talks. And so I went to the TEDx stage. And the point I'm trying to make is, and the message that I took out of the TEDx stage is still valid and it's still operational, because we are still in a world which is dominated by this us versus them rhetoric, where people believe that the resources that sustain them, that nourish them, that validate them, and that are necessary for their existence and survival is in limited supply. They believe that the resources that are necessary for them to really live fulfilled lives are in short supply, that they are time dependent and space dependent. That if they don't grab it right now, grab it out of your mouth if necessary, it'll disappear, or somebody else will take it, or it'll decay or expire in some way, never to be available again. They don't see themselves as the creator of resources. And what we showed in the pandemic was, hey, if you control your laser, your spotlight, you create resources simply by virtue of the attention you direct. They become real for you.
Now that pandemic's over and the book's done, what does a typical day look like to you?
So right now, you're talking about what do you expect to happen in the next 3 to 5 years? I have only two goals right now. One is I have a company called Active Power, which is at the cusp of really exploding globally, and so I'm all excited about the growth in that. We are looking for in the next 6 months there will be some major developments. So that is something that I'm really excited about. And the other is education. I'm really involved in a number of educational efforts, and they're still evolving. One is Education Beyond Borders, another is iFly. And so these two things is what I intend to really bring out in the next 3 to 5 years. Education, I'm not sure whether the forms of education that I have created right now is what is actually going to materialize in 5 years, but I know it's going to be education. Education Beyond Borders may grow, or it may metamorphose into some other form. And that's another one thing about me, is that I really am not hung up on growing the shape of the object or the entity that I start out with. I'm extremely, one of the nicknames I had in college, my friends used to call me, they used to call me, an Indian word. It meant flood, like a river in flood. And the reason why they called me that was I would, I was, I would not let myself be stopped. I would find a way to get around something, no matter what. I'll either go over it, under it, around it, one way or the other, but I'll figure out. So they used to call me Flood.
Yeah. What major shifts are you seeing in the industry right now?
In healthcare, there is a huge shift. There's a dynamic going on with the advent of AI. Physicians in the U.S. When I say healthcare, I mean U.S. healthcare. I can't speak about the rest of the globe, but U.S. healthcare is going to move away from the insurance-based industry to a more individualized payment, where a lot more physicians are going to dump insurances and say, tell patients that, hey, just pay me and, you know, I'll take care of you. So it's going to become more of a direct pay. In the area of, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Are you on board with that AI shift?
I don't think it can be reversed or anything. It's like the printing press or the advent of the personal computer. I mean, it is what it is. It's an ongoing evolution of human. I call it the merging of the man and the machine, and that's been something that's been going on since the caveman. Ever since the caveman decided that he's going to break two pieces of stone to make a cutting blade, man has been a tool creating machine to, he has always created tools to expand his functionality. Men did not have teeth and claws, so they invented the sword and the spear. So it's always been, and that's been the constant thing. So it's not like the AI of today had its roots millions of years ago with the Neanderthal man. So I just see this as an ongoing spectrum.
I mean, some of the changes that we've seen back from Neanderthal years have definitely led to a lot of chronic diseases in the way we function, in the way that we eat, the way we eat processed foods, things like that. The changes are not all good for humanity, are they?
No, they are not, because that is not the change's fault. So I tell my patients this: who asked you to eat that? Nobody opened your mouth and shoved that stuff in your mouth. So people are responsible for the decisions they make. When they choose to take the easy way out and not seek fresh food, but take it out of a box, that's your choice. Just because it's available. See, ever since the dawn of humanity, poison has always been available in the wild. There have always been poisonous berries and poisonous fruit, and these poisonous berries and poisonous fruit have always looked very attractive and bright colored and very sweet smelling. Always. That's the nature. It is our ability to distinguish and decide how we. So we can't go around saying that I'm eating this because you're making it. Hey, I didn't. No, they didn't force you to buy it.
No, but there's also a lot of influences which people go by. We have social media.
Yeah, but that comes you back to your searchlight, right? You didn't control your attention. You didn't gain your attention. You just allowed some passing message to grab you and influence your behavior. So that's your searchlight.
So you got diabetes from that.
Yes.
Okay, so How are these trends impacting your business?
I'm fortunate. I built a reputation in the Eye clinic. People come to me from all over the world. In fact, nowadays, people who are visiting Washington, D.C., where I live and work, they are told by their family and friends that, hey, you fall sick, just call the Eye clinic, they'll take care of you. So, so I'm in a stage in my life where I don't do any marketing at all. It's like people know me and they come. Um, and I'm not saying this with any arrogance. I'm just saying it like a matter of fact. Like water is where water is wet and it flows. That's it. I can't change the fact of that. So it's my ability to do my work as a physician, take care of it, is really good. I mean, like I see my patients. I enjoy making an impact. I enjoy making. I get up even now excited to go to work every day. I'm 67 years old. I've been a doctor for 42 years, and I, I hear people saying that, oh, they moan and groan about healthcare and the burden of it. I feel no burden. I just enjoy it.
Okay. What's working well for you right now?
So
And what's
when
been frustrating, I guess, on the flip side of that?
I don't allow it to, there are lots of opportunities for frustration. I will not deny that, but I don't allow myself to get frustrated by it. So a couple of things, right? I have a saying. I say when you find your life work, then your life works. And my life work is essentially empowerment. I love to empower people. I see. I do only three things. People come to me not for a diagnosis. They come to me because they have something going on in their life that is preventing them from enjoying life the way they would like to enjoy it. And I do only three things. Either I remove the obstacle, or I mitigate its impact, or if I can't do those two things, I teach them how to transcend it, to live with it, live beyond, live over and above it. So, so no matter what, I'm able to win because I approach every problem from only these three aspects. Can I eliminate it? If I can't eliminate, can it reduce its impact? If I can't reduce its impact, can I teach you how to transcend its impact on your life?
Okay, so there's got to be something. You're always trying to achieve greater, even though you're happy in your workspace, in your daily life. What metrics are you focused on improving at the moment?
So when we talk about the clinic per se, I know that right now the biggest metric is free time because I don't need to make more money than what I make.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in a place in my life where the opportunity to make impact is more important than the opportunity to make money. So for me, the metric for the next 2 or 3 years is how much time do I have to experience life with the people who matter most in my life. And so that's very important. The second thing is the ability to really leverage the impact that I'm making with my company Active Power as it goes into new markets. And that is something that and the, so in the realm of how much impact I make, that is where my educational programs come in, where I teach people, I coach the next generation of physicians who come to me as trainees. So these are things that are of importance to me. Um, so, um, So that's what I basically am focused on in the next 3 to 5 years.
So time is the biggest
Time.
thing.
Time. Yeah.
Okay. So that's where you want to be in the next 3 to 5 years. Where do you want to be in the next 6 to 12 months?
Next 6 months, we're going to have big launches in India and Europe for active power. There's a line of human wellness products that I'm right now in the process of developing. See, I'm the chief R&D and creative officer for the company. I'm also the chairman. I I just stepped away from the CEO role and handed it over to somebody else who's building it. So um, so I have this line of products that I'm going to be developing. I have about 6 products that I'll be bringing out by the end of August. The label development, the bottling, the quantity, the pricing, the market segmentation. There's a lot of details that are going to get sussed out between the month of August and the month of September. So I'm really excited about that. Education-wise, in the next 6 months, I'm starting a series of educational lectures at the George Washington Business School. So I'll be teaching a group of about 40 business school students how to navigate the challenges of the new millennium.
Dr. Khanna is the new CEO. Is that right?
Yes, yes, you just saw that. Yeah, Dr. Khanna. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Dr. Khanna and I have been colleagues practicing for 25 years. When I started Active Power, he was he was there, but he didn't want to get involved in it at that time. And then I grew it in the last 7 years to where it is now, and I went back to him and I said, hey, listen, I need to go to the next level. I can't do that. I need you to take it and go. And I said, okay, I'll take it. That's how it is.
Why not? Okay, so if you could solve one major challenge in your business today, what would it be?
See, when you start something new and you become very protective, and what I need to master, which I'm pretty good at it, but I have to keep reminding myself that I have to let go. It's like letting go of your teenager, and trusting them, trusting the people you bring on to the company to take the company forward, and actually be willing to let them make mistakes without you suffering too much. It's not easy, but it has to be done if you want to grow, and that's my challenge. And I think I'll succeed, but it's not. But I have no illusions. It will be painful because there will be moments where I'll feel, oh, shit, like I saw that coming, and oh damn it, like. But that's just the way it is.
Difficult as a healthcare professional because you build the business around you, don't you?
No, fortunately, Active Power, I did not build it around me. I built it around the product. But still, the product for the large part grew on the trust that people have on my integrity as a physician.
Mm.
So, but you are right. It is very difficult to get on a partner because it's built around me, and then so I just stopped trying to do that in the Eye-yer clinic and decided to shift and grow on the active power side. The Eye-yer clinic will grow the way it will grow, and eventually somebody will come and take it over and run it to the sky or run it into the ground. I don't care which way.
It's your baby.
It is, but it is, but what else can you do?
That was great. Okay, thank you for sharing your insight.
Thank you.